So here's a nice opportunity to show you a mountain lion track. There's a few of them here. It looks like it walked here right before the water subsided, and I'm standing where it was underwater a couple days ago. So the mountain lion walked along this edge, and so these tracks are a little bit distorted. But up here is a pretty good one, and it looks like the cat paused right here. So notice how these two tracks are paired. There's another one here, and there's two back here. There's also this little imprint, which I'd like to get up here without stepping on it, because that's the heel of the hind foot. So it sat here for a moment. This is the heel of the hind foot. This is a heel of a hind foot right there. There's the hind foot. Here are the two front tracks. So in essence, left front, left hind, right hind. You can see the entire heel imprint, and you can see all four tracks right here because it sat here. Now this is a slightly raised place above the level of the river, and so this was an interesting little spot where the mountain lions paused, sat down, and did some observing. Now there's a second trail over here, which may be another mountain lion. I have been catching a pair of them on my cameras. And they've been traveling together for several weeks now, which means they're probably going to mate and have cubs next year. So these are in gravel, a little bit more difficult to differentiate. I'm going to go forward and backwards on this trail and see if I can find some better examples for you. But I thought this was really cool because it sat down right here. This is where a mountain lion sat. And it's perfect because you got all four tracks. You can see the heels of the tracks here, and that's pretty unusual to find a really good example of that type of track. Okay, moving on from those last tracks, we've got a couple of nice ones here where the mountain lion took off walking, came through here. The second one is up here. You can see its tracks going back there, but it's in gravel. It's really not a great trail, so I'll try to find it a little further up. You can see one here, and then there's the other animal here. So these are good tracks. This one's a nice one to show you because it's got all the little details in it. Note those pointed toes. The leading toe, which is toe number 3. So toe number 1 would be over here, depending on front or hind. Front ones have a dew claw, hind ones do not, but we still number them, counting toe number 1. That's 2, 3, 4, and 5. That's equivalent to your middle finger. So your little middle finger would go right there. And this makes this a right track. I believe this to be a right hind track. So let's follow it out. And they're getting a little not so good in here because of the substrate. There's another one right there. So second animal is up there. That's not a great track to show you an example on. But over here it looks like it went next to an otter trail. So that's an otter track right there next to the mountain lion. Coming out here, there's some in the sand that are drying out, getting worn. Okay, now, this is interesting. Instead of 2 animals, there are 3 mountain lions. Here's the one that I've been following. Here is the second one, and here is the third. 3 trails, so probably the mom with her 2 young from the year, or it's 3 young that have just separated from mom and are cruising around on their own for the first time. But note the number of tracks right here, which is too many for 1 animal, but plenty for 2. There's your third animal over there. So we have 3 mountain lions walking on this beach. And it's really cool because the river just came up, left this beautiful sand, and now we've got lovely substrate to find these tracks in. Now I'm hoping further up that they will have stepped in mud. That's the hope, that I can actually get some really good tracks and to show you. Right here, all you're seeing is the gate and the 3 tracks. So looks like the larger one's this one up here, just from overall appearance from right here, standing this far back. And then the 2 smaller ones are right here, the 2 cubs. So the cubs are nearly grown and almost the same size as their mom. They're following her around down here on the river bar. This is awesome. Okay, I'm just gonna kind of roll the video as I follow these out. This is really fun. And there's a deer trail right here. A couple of them actually. There's 2 deer trails. And then we get into some kind of rougher looking sand here. A little bit more coarse in texture. So not as easy to see things with camera lens in here. So I'm gonna go down here where I see some mud and see if I can pick up the trail down here, because I don't want to try and waste your time with the sand in the middle there that's too coarse to see the tracks in. So they were generally heading in this direction, and it looks like right here there are no tracks, but there are some right out there in the center. And this, let's see, okay, here's an otter. So there's a lot going on out here today. And there's an otter going this way, there's a raven headed that way, deer headed this way, there's a couple of deer going this way. And then up here we have our mountain lion. Here's one here. Now, where's the other 2? So they were paralleling each other. And the other ones could be still in that coarse sand. So let's head backwards on the trail. There's a heron track right there. So right here you're getting a little bit of view of the gate, which is an overstep walk. Looks like, well, maybe closer to almost transitioning into a trot here, because the groupings, there's 2, 2, 2. So it looks like instead of an overstep walk, it's a faster walk, almost transitioning to a trot. So if this one's speeding up, what are the other 2 doing? Oh, okay. This is why we didn't see them back there. They made a turn over here in this coarse sand. They turned. Both of them are heading this direction. One trail here and one trail there. So they're making a turn and heading for the trees over there. So interesting. That's why they weren't over there. Okay. So out here in the gravel, kind of tough to see. I'm not going to waste your time trying to find those. They made their turn, came this direction. There's deer tracks here. Where's the mountain lion? It looks like they're trending this direction, so maybe still be on the gravel. I want to go over here and see if they showed up in the mud. And part of trailing, if these were fresh enough tracks to trail, would be to try to skip some of the tough stuff and not try to work through that, but to try and find the tracks in a better substrate that you can actually follow them in. And just to confirm that you're still on the trail. So here they are, or at least one of them is here, heading that direction. Where did the other one go? Probably out here in this gravel, and that's why I'm not seeing it. But so that's if I was actually trailing these, which I'm not, you would take time to skip the bad substrates, try to predict where they went, and pick them up on a better substrate, which is what I did here. So at least one of them's going this way. That's a nice track. There's 2 tracks here overlapping. You can see a very clear leading toe on that one, and that one is the hind foot. You can see toe 2 here. Toe number 1 would be in the back if it existed on the hind feet, which it does not. So 2, 3, 4, and 5. Here is a very steep shaped metatarsal pad on that hind foot. The front foot is here. You can see the metacarpal pad right there with the 2 lobes on the leading edge, 3 lobes on the trailing edge. And you can see a couple of the toes here, the outer 2 toes, 4 and 5. But the other toes were here, and they got stepped on by this hind track. So the clearest track is the one on top, the most complete. That is a left hind track of a mountain lion. And then it goes into gravel, so I'm going to go try and pick it out up there. Okay, so over here in the good sand, I've picked up the mountain lion track again. This is the one I'm calling the mom cat, because the other 2 appeared to have smaller tracks, and maybe her kittens. That's my theory anyway. So her tracks are heading this direction, and I hope she's going over to that mud to get a drink. That's what I'm going to go look for. This is just a beautiful mountain lion track right here. And this one is a front track. You can see the large, wide pad, metacarpal pad. Toe number 2, 3, 4, and 5. Toe number 3 is leading, equivalent to your middle finger if you were to stick your hand there. I don't see a dew claw, but this is really a fantastic, nice example of a mountain lion track. Relatively small, about 3 inches. Not a big cat. I think this is the female that I've been following, and her kittens are around. There's another trail coming in here of a separate cat going that direction. This one is turning in this direction. So I'm thinking that the cub that I lost over there has come down the gravel and has come in this direction because I see the tracks going that way. I haven't followed that back yet though. I want to go forward and I want to get to this mud. I want to find beauties in the mud. Okay, she's actually turning. Not heading for the mud. She's going this way now. So I was hoping that she would head straight for that mud, but I guess not. Going over here. You can see the tracks here. And then she gets in gravel. I think she probably went over here to get a drink. That's what I'm hoping, because there's water here. It'd be nice if I found her tracks down here, but looks like maybe not. Bummer. Would be a good place to get a drink, though. Okay, so one of the mountain lions did come over here. There's a track right there, right here, right there. And then it looks like this was washed over. They're very faint in here. Really faint. So possibly came down here to get a drink when there was still water in it. Not seeing anything in the good mud. Darn. So that means they were here before this water receded and made it up to that point before hitting the water. Probably got a drink there and then took off, but darn, all this down here is duck tracks. So at the point where I lost that mountain lion track, the other tracks that I find here also indicate that this soil was wet at the time. So notice how these deer tracks go into the water and then come out, trailing bits of mud. So this was very wet when these tracks were made, wet enough that the animal sunk in, and you can see how the tracks have rounded out as opposed to the ones in the drier sand over here that are more crisp in their details. And this was made when the soil was wet, and as they picked their foot up, some of the soil got carried forward. So the deer went in here probably to get a drink and then turned around and came out, leaving tracks that indicate that this was very wet. So that's where the mountain lion trail ended, at least this one, and I'm going to go back and see if I can pick them up in some other soil and see where they went from there. But they had to have turned around because unless they swam through here or jumped across, they could have jumped across too, because there's a rock right there that they've used in the past to jump and get up into the brush. So we'll see. So I followed the lion that came over to the muddy edge here, and I see a track facing into here, but nothing to indicate that the lion went up this hill. Although in the past they have used this, there's a lot of brush here right now, and they could have gone under or over or jumped, but I don't see indications of it here. It may be that the lion just came over here to sniff this. There's a track here and a track there, but the rest of it is interspersed with gravel, so it's kind of difficult to make out the story here of what actually happened. It looks like probably the lion just came over here to sniff something and then probably walked off, maybe this way because it was facing that direction. But with the gravel here, I can't really make out the story. And I'd say this is a right front track of a mountain lion. Got a very wide and trapezoidal shaped metacarpal pad with 2 lobes in the leading edge here. 3 lobes back here are not as clear. There is a leading toe right there, so that's 2, 3, 4, and 5. Toe number 3 being the leading one makes this the right front track of a mountain lion. There's your size. It's not a very big one, and I think this is one of the youngsters that was with the mother cat that I've been following around, and it's only 3 inches wide and long. Not a very big track. Okay, remembering that there are 3 cats out here, I'm being kind of cautious. But leaving that last track that was right over there, looking up here, there is a track here facing in that direction. So maybe the same cat, I'm assuming, departed this direction. And looks like a left front. There's your size. You got a little bit of dirt pushed backwards, because remember, this is probably an overlap of a hind and a front on top of each other. Alright, here we go. So I followed the mountain lion trail through the gravel, not really following it. I just kind of checked the mud here to see if I could pick them up again, because this gravel is not leaving much as far as tracks. And here it is. So at this point, the mountain lion is walking into the brush, and this is where it gets fun because it's in the mud. And now we're seeing actual footprints. Yay! And up here in the mud are some beauties. I hope I don't sink into the mud, but I'm going to try and get in there and get you some pictures of those tracks. Okay, there's a track here, a track here, a track here, and a track there, and a track right here, and several in here. There are 4 in a group. I believe 2 mountain lions came through here, not just one. I think the other kitten joined this one, and they both went up here, it looks like. So, I'm going to go in here and get some video. This is beautiful. Look at that. Those are all mountain lion tracks right there. Isn't that fantastic? Oh my. Okay, yeah, I love trailing these guys, so you're going to pick up on my enthusiasm here. I just love these guys. And just as much as I love trailing black bears, I love trailing mountain lions. I'm not necessarily trailing right now because I'm not hoping to catch up to these guys, because they're way ahead of me. Probably a couple of days ahead of me. Anyway, a whole bunch of tracks right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, at least 4 there, 5, 6. So more than one mountain lion was through here. And that's just a fantastic jumble of tracks. They came up here, and boy, this is fun. This is going to be a long video. I hope you enjoy it as much as I'm enjoying doing this, because this is just fantastic. Around here, you don't get a lot of good substrate like this usually. So finding this many tracks is amazing. This is just, wow. Tracker heaven here. I'm going to pause to take some photos. Okay, so where they went from here and up this hillside here. And I'm going to show you these beauties right here. Look at those tracks. They're fantastic. Wow. I'm taking the leaves out of them so you can see the details. Look at those beauties. If I had any plaster of Paris on hand, I'd be out here casting these. Unfortunately, I don't have any, and it's going to rain tonight, which is a bummer. But yeah, these are beautiful. And look at that. And that. And that. Oh my. Definitely tracker heaven here. That's just a beautiful right hind track there. And then up here we go, up the hill. I accidentally stepped on some of the tracks, which is a real bummer. But look at this. Right up this steep slope, they went up here, and you can see the path under there that has been used by deer and mountain lions for a while, and that's where they went. It's really slippery, and I don't know if I can get up there, but there's a nice track right there that I want to get to. Here's a carpal pad imprint. Look at that. This might be a dew claw from another track, but look at that. That's beautiful. You don't always see the carpal pad imprint, but because this is mud, and because they were headed up a slope, they left a carpal pad imprint. Isn't that fantastic? That's from the front foot. Look at the absolute perfection of these tracks. This is what I love about feline tracks. They're so round, so perfect, just amazing. And that, I think, is as far as I'm going to go up the hill after them, because it gets way steeper and I'm already slipping back down the hill. But that was fun, and I hope you enjoyed following this mountain lion family with me. 3 mountain lions, what a wonderful day. Absolutely excited.